it's hard to even believe that you used to be in the radio game. Like you was Chris Lover. You know what I mean? Not that that's a
Yep.
bad thing, but it's
No.
just so far from where you at now. And I look at people like, you know, the Khaled's and the different people of the world that kind of figured they niche out. And I felt like you found that somewhere. But like, how did you even get into the radio space? Like, what was that experience
So that's
like?
that's a great question, and like we said, it's so crazy, and it's so much love seeing all different artists get podcasts, get television shows. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Doing
right,
radio,
right, right.
I'm loving seeing it. How I got into radio was only a means to an end. So we talked about how we plot and plan and strategize. I've been doing this all my life. So fresh out of high school, I knew that I was like, man, the way for me to get put on in this industry, I need to meet the right people.
Mm,
And so I was fresh out of Banneker High School, College Park, Georgia, and there was this radio station that opened up. It was 97.5. Now it's 107.9 in Atlanta, Georgia. And I thought to myself, if I can get an internship up here, or if I can get a job at this radio station some way, somehow, this is a place where artists and producers and record company executives come on a daily basis to a radio station just to try and get their records played. So if I can somehow make a way for myself or make a place for myself up here, then I'm gonna be one step closer to handing individuals my music and being able to politic with them each
mm.
and every day.
Wow.
So that was the mentality. So I never wanted to be in radio. I never wanted to be a radio personality, but because I was young, it was the perfect transition of me being a worldwide celebrity because I was a local celebrity. So I'm the youngest dude at the radio station. Started throwing parties, getting paid cash. You know what I mean? I'm going to different schools and everybody knows me as Chris Lover, and it's like only reason I was Ludacris at the time, but I was interning for the morning show, and they was
Right.
like, Ludacris might not be the most appropriate name for the morning
Little,
show, so
little
we
did
gonna
they know.
come up with an alias.
Little did they
Yeah.
know.
Exactly. Little did they know. So I started doing promos for everybody on the radio station. So what that means is the intros and outros that you hear for all the disc jockeys. And then from there, they was like, oh, this dude could actually rap. So I've been having to break stereotypes my entire life
Mm,
because I became so popular in Atlanta as a radio DJ that people were like, nah, you a DJ. You can't be a rapper. There's no way you could become an artist. When little did they know I was an artist way before I got there. And so I broke that stereotype once What's Your Fantasy came out.
mm.
And this was I did independently and sold 50,000 records of the album Incognito, which later became Back for the First Time. And then the rest is history. Got signed to Def Jam. One of the greatest days of my life was signing my record contract inside the radio station and then
Damn.
telling them, deuces, I'm out this
Wow.
piece.
That's crazy. You out there in TV land, you hear that? He's basically saying he had a plan. He understood that his plan, and it's crazy because even for myself, I couldn't get into radio, but I went and pressed up mixtapes and went and stood outside of a club. So it's like that was
Love it.
my angle to kind of you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like everybody in that club is the people that I want to be fans of my music. So I figure if I
Right.
keep passing out CDs there, and it was a club on the east side called Prime, and
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
and they
I
that was where I
remember
got
that.
my first show. They called me, said they got $200. Keep in mind, I pull up in the Ferrari. I don't want the $200.
That's right.
I just want to get on that stage, you know. And nobody knew a word, and I was rapping my heart out.
Man, listen,
It's crazy.
all about building that reputation because
Yes,
I was
sir.
doing the same thing. Even before I got signed when I was at the radio, like Jermaine Dupri put me on a video game, Madden 2000. So the
Okay.
first rapper to be on a video
Oh,
game.
shout
And
out
then
to JD.
Organized Noise, they knew me because I was playing Outkast and Goody Mob Records. So I went up to the dungeon. I was like, I need a beat. So just having that type of,
Right.
those resources and building those friendships, that's what really got me the stuff that I needed in order to build this resume and make this album and put these different people on there and let them know the industry was
Mm,
messing with me
right.
way before the whole Ludacris around the world,
Right.
was known.
We're talking Black Star Power with my guy Ludacris, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Worth the Conversation. I'm talking with Grammy Award winning Ludacris right here. It just seemed like to me you had a plan from day one. Like you understood. you knew you was gonna be sitting in this seat right here, my brother. Like you already had a plan.
Yeah.
And it started at that radio station. Shout out to 107.9, by the way.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So we got to have a plan. If anybody's listening right now, please, man, listen. You gotta, just like a boat or a yacht that's on the open water, you
Yes.
got to have a
And plan.
destination. You
Yes.
can't
Yeah.
just be floating.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, you're gonna let the water take you where it
Wherever
wants
you
to
gonna
take
go.
you. Now you need to
Right.
start your engines and make sure you have a destination in place at all times.
I call it a mental GPS. It's like take the stairs, because if you take the elevator, you don't know how to get there if the elevator breaks down again. So it's that mental GPS going through all the steps, and it's like, I mean, because it seemed like to me you could write a book about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you got there
Yeah.
yet.
No, man, listen, the only reason I haven't written a book yet is because in my mind and my eyes it's still being written. I want it
There
to
it
be one of
is.
the best books, but that is definitely
Okay.
on the agenda one day to make
Right.
that happen.
Okay, you
Believe
make sure you blow Chris Love up in that thing, because he was the one. He kicked all this
me.
off.
Absolutely.
so you, so
100%.
so you got a plethora of music. I mean, I remember coming up and I mean, you just had bangers, like, you know, and I would watch you do these shows, you know, as I was on my grind, and you had just the right records and the concepts for your albums, and it all made sense with who you were. Like, you understood who Ludacris was as an artist, and you knew what type of fans would be Luda fans, and you know what type of records would work for Luda. Even some of your videos, I seen one video you did, and this is when Austin Powers that came out or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, number one spot. But I was like, yo, how the hell he go get hooked up with the people from the movie and do, you know what I'm saying, get the song in the movie and then do the video like the movie. But with all those accomplishments, like, which one are you most proud of? Like, which Ludacris project is Ludacris proud of?
We always got to get our first albums out the way, but you know, because it's just like that's your claim to fame, like that's your introduction to the world, right? But if I had to pick one album that I'm most proud of, it would probably be Release Therapy, just for the simple fact that I set out to win a Grammy and get all these accolades and awards for that work. And so when you know you set out specifically to do something and you accomplish it, then it's a different type of, you know, emotional nostalgia that comes with that for the rest of your life. And so that album, because the previous years, it was Eminem winning everything, and Ja Rule, and you know, people don't really realize the competition in retrospect of when you may have gotten passed over. And so I'm selling triple platinum each album, and I'm like, how the hell am I not winning these awards? So to get into the mind of Ludacris, Release Therapy is probably my proudest moment of winning that Grammy for best album, because it was hard, obviously, but there was a time where they didn't even televise the best rap album category. And I remember Hov, Jay-Z was actually, you know, boycotting them because of that. And we still have some issues with the Grammys, you know, even as of recent. But for me, that was a moment, and that album was one of my best.
That's congratulations, my brother. I hope he's sipping out of there like a sippy cup, like the boy Hov and them. He's sipping that cup.
Thank you, sir.
Sipping that Luda yak out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, just you being a businessman, because you know that's you know what we see today, and just knowing how you got into the industry. What do you think about the business of music today? Like, how do you see it?
Man, it's a roller coaster ride. For one, I can say that during the time in which, you know, when I was out, DMX, Jay, all of these different people, it seemed like this was a little bit after the Cold Crush era to a degree. And I can say that the business has fluctuated in terms of what artists are out here, you know, being a part of it, and making sure their contract states and getting a piece of different things, and then becoming CEOs and, you know, just infiltrating the system. I feel like we started to infiltrate the system a lot more. And so as of recent, what I'm most proud of is seeing that I don't see one person in the industry that's just a rapper. I see, like, you cannot just be a rapper these days. You got to have some sort of side hustle.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm most proud of, to answer your question, where I see it at now. I see everyone as businessmen, and I'm loving it, because people have paved the way for us, kind of, you know, taught us and inspired us. And now we're doing the same thing for other individuals, and people are just doing so many hustles and making sure that they're getting their ownership on. And that's a beautiful thing.
Right. You hear that? You got to have your side hustle. You got to have that other thing, and you got to know what it is that you truly want out of this. Because you're right, like, you know, and I looked at that because I wanted to be a businessman long before anybody knew who I was. But I knew there was no way in hell I was gonna be able to walk in that office coming straight out of the streets. So I had to get
right.
I had to get some type of liaison or just some type of, just some type of process to get to where I wanted to go. And I commend you on that, because it's like now, you're right. You have to have multiple streams of income, and you're able to do that because the way it is set up, and it's like you would be crazy not to. It's almost like if you look at somebody like Jordan, he was already ahead of the game back when everybody was just playing basketball.
Yeah.
He set himself up nice. He could sit back and live the way he lived. And you could see the difference in the people who wasn't thinking like that. So for you to be thinking like that in that part of the game says a lot about, where you were.